The Divine Group is considering annexation into Travelers Rest. I look into what that means for the project.
Later today, you'll hear about a young performer singing her way through life.
And coming up later in sports, we'll have a conversation with Furman basketball team leader Garrett Hein.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Nightly News. I'm Katelyn Wong. Let's get to our top story. We are all suffering from high prices lately. We sent our Katie McCawley out to find out how local restaurants and bakeries are responding.
You may have noticed your favorite muffin is more expensive than usual. This week, I investigated where you are being charged more because of the recent changes in egg prices. As some of you may know, there has been a recent surge of the bird flu, which has caused millions of chickens across the nation to die, leading to a smaller egg supply and an increase in egg prices. Because of the increase in egg prices, many bakeries and restaurants nationwide have had to increase the prices of any of their food items that include egg ingredients. I spoke to 6 bakeries and restaurants around the Greenville area to see how this affects our community. From the 6 places I talked to, 2 of them said that they have had to increase the prices of some of their items due to the spike increase in egg prices. Upcountry Provisions Bakery and Bistro, luckily, was not one of the ones that had to increase their menu prices.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely do have a lot of eggs that we give out on a daily. Thankfully, we were not affected by the price increase. We have the individual supplier, and he didn't raise the prices of his eggs, so we didn't have to raise the prices of ours.
By getting their eggs from a local farm, they were thankfully able to bypass the egg price crisis. Swan Broward Cafe also said that they have not increased their egg prices because they want to stay true to their business and their customers. However, their inventory has been negatively affected because they are still purchasing the expensive eggs. But one of the places that has been the most affected by the increase in egg prices is everyone's favorite late-night breakfast spot, Waffle House. For the past month and a half, Waffle House has put a notice on their menu that you have to pay 50 cents extra per egg. One of the workers there said that this has negatively affected their business because people will look at the menu, see the sign, and walk right out. Hopefully, the egg supply shortage does not last long so that businesses can soon get back on their feet.
Thank you, Katie. Remember to wash your hands this winter because it's flu season and the numbers are high in South Carolina. According to the South Carolina Department of Health report, there was a total of 12 influenza-related deaths reported just last week. This will have added to the total number of 176 influenza-associated deaths this season and 7,059 hospitalizations. For college students, it is extra important to take all the precautions to try and stay healthy this season. One of our own Furman students, Mary Sheehan, tells us about her experience having the flu this school year.
When I was really sick and it was really awful because I couldn't do anything super strenuous and I couldn't really stand for more than 15 minutes at a time. And so I was basically bedridden and they had me on like every antibiotic known to man to try to like fix it. And it just wasn't helping at all. And I was super sick and I couldn't stop coughing and sneezing. So it was not fun.
Though the flu is bad this time of year, doctors say heart disease is the #1 killer of both men and women. And recent studies show that Southerners are at a much higher risk of it. Prisma Health cardiologist says this is likely because Southerners have a higher rate of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. Poor diet, lack of exercise, and family history are also some risk factors, with smoking being the biggest cause. To avoid getting heart disease, Prisma doctors say to stay active, eat a healthy diet, and keep an eye on your health history. They also say it's important to know your family history, and if you suspect you might have symptoms of heart disease, contact your health official immediately. Hundreds attended the meeting about the inn at Altamont's development. Our Clancy Carter was there too, and she spoke with the Divine Group CEO, Kurt Patel, about their plans.
Can you tell me about how you're going to approach the zoning issues with the land?
Within the county, we have two portions of land. This portion of land, we'll call Parcel B, is currently entitled for RM20 multifamily development. This portion of land is currently entitled under the Environmental Sensitive Overlay District. However, the key is, if I was to combine the two parcels and make this my dedicated access, this in fact now reverts to RM20. So within the county, under the existing ordinance, all of this could be developed as multifamily development today. We found that this was not the highest and best use for the land, and that's why we're presenting something that has a conservation aspect as well as a development aspect.
I spoke with Mayor Brandy Amadon about the annexation process.
For us on council, we have to make decisions for the whole good of Travelers Rest, but we also have to have the same information. So we're kind of all holding to say, when you as the developer have all the information ready for us, then we can look at this and make an opinion. 8 or 7 years ago, we put in a first step for a community meeting for anyone that's going to annex into the city or a rezoning. So say it's like an existing property, but they want to change it to something else. And part of that was just for more transparency and more communication from the actual people doing the job, so they could meet with the community and kind of take input and feedback before they applied with the city. So for example, in this scenario, first step is that community meeting, which they've had. Then they would need to officially file with the city. And so this would be an annexation request and a rezoning kind of all together. And then once we have that data, kind of like a packet that has all the things in it that we would need, it goes to the Planning Commission. And our Planning Commission is a group of residents. They're not elected officials or anything like that. They're appointed by council, and they are more knowledgeable in more of the planning side, annexation, zoning, and then they take the feedback from the city, take all the documentation for requests for annexation or rezoning, and then they vote and make a recommendation to city council. Part of the planning commission is also have public hearing. So you would open it up to the public and everyone come, it's usually like 3 minutes or something like that, and voices their concerns or, for or against, or even just ask questions. So we would have all that information at the council level that then we would vote on the project together. Typically it comes out of committee and then it goes to full council. So you have first reading, make any changes or do any further analysis, or just like, hey, we didn't think about this. This gives us a whole nother month to go back. And then that second final reading is when it's, kind of cast in stone. It's their right to request annexation. It just has to be congruent. So the property has to touch the existing city limits. Annexation is how you can kind of control growth or not. And so as you're thinking about the city of Travelers Rest, for example, we're not trying to grow into a big city. I think people forget that because national politics are just so divisive, but we're nonpartisan, so we don't have that Democrat-Republican conversation. We all live here and want what's best for our communities.
I will keep you updated as the story continues to develop. This is Clancy Carter with the Nightly News.
Thank you, Clancy. Covering the country for you now. A major ruling in an ongoing fight for medical research. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from cutting millions of dollars in research funding. The National Institute of Health awarded nearly $35 billion in grants last year. This money is what supported studies on Alzheimer's, cancer, heart disease, and more. However, 22 states and many research groups sued, warning the risks of how this would affect patients and employees. A judge in Boston issued the court order to put all cuts on hold while this case develops. A little closer to home now, Alexandria Bielesau, who you see on the screen, is facing charges after officials say she started a backyard fire that led to a massive wildfire right here in South Carolina. Authorities say that she lit a fire pit near a tree, sparking the now 2,000-acre fire in the Myrtle Beach area. She is accused of negligently allowing fire to spread and will appear in court on April 15th. The fire is still burning and is only currently around 55% contained. In a consumer alert, CVS's plans to open roughly a dozen stores with this year with only a pharmacy. The smaller stores will not carry any products unrelated to health and are just one part of CVS's company plans to adjust to the changing industry, including hundreds of layoffs across the nation. And Krispy Kreme is bringing the pot of gold to you, but instead of gold, it's donuts. The company's annual St. Patty's donuts are back in stock through the 17th. The collection features 4 donuts, including 2 filled donuts, the pot of gold and the over-the-rainbow donut. It's been 3 weeks since the student body elected Miriam Nguyen as the new Student Government Association president, and she's already setting her sights on change. For years, many students may have seen SGA as just an extension of administration, but Miriam wants to change that. She hopes to transform it into a real student advocacy organization. Her first step is student outreach. She explained that a lot of the time students can be intimidated by the name SGA, and she hopes to eliminate that stigma.
I think first thing that we can do is really start with student outreach. So SGA is composed of the executive board, and then we have 4 class representatives in each year. So I think at the very beginning of the year, I'd love to host kind of a town hall to see what issues students are facing on campus, issues that students see. And there's a major disconnect between upper administration, like the board of trustees, and just all people helping run our university, and the students. A lot of students don't understand what's going on, so I want to also host like a town hall with them as well. And I think that would be the best way to really gauge what's going on campus, and also increasing our just presence. I want a feedback forum. I want in our weekly emails as SGA to include all of that, and I want more representation and more participation in our SGA weekly meetings.
Yeah. Miriam says this is just the beginning and hopes these changes will make SGA more engaged, more vocal, and more student-driven than ever before. An annual CLP coming up on Wednesday called Sex After Dark is aiming to address complex social and cultural issues surrounding sexuality. This event is your chance to ask experts anything anonymously. No judgment, just honest intellectual discussions in an intentional environment. Join us Wednesday, 6:30 to 8 p.m. in Burgess Theater. Gail Rhodes is a senior vocal performance major who makes hitting those high notes seem like a breeze, but believe me, it's not. I got the opportunity to talk to her and her parents about her operatic journey.
What I love about singing is that I get to share this beautiful music with the people who are coming to hear me sing. Especially with like art song, it is meant to be shared live, I believe. I really enjoy seeing people's faces light up or having them experience a song they never heard before. I think for opera it's a little bit different. I love acting. I love being an actor. I've acted pretty much as long as I remember. And I think opera is different because I love being on stage. I love being in a costume, and getting into character for me is really fun. I like to be able to just step into somebody else's shoes and see what's going on with their life, and usually it's pretty funny. I tend to be cast in comedic roles, so I just have a blast, and hearing the audience laugh or cheer and just seeing them have a good time really just puts a smile on my face.
I think around 5 or 6, we were in the car one day, and I heard her singing in the back seat, strapped into her car seat, and she started kind of hitting some notes. And I'm being a musician, I kind of have just a little bit of I can hear a critical ear a little bit. And I went, that little kid's kind of hitting those notes. That's not like a super easy song. It's not like just Wheels on the Bus.
She never even touched an opera until she was in her junior year of high school.
Well, I can say for myself that I have been cultured more.
For sure.
Never was an opera aficionado or knew anything about that whole world. And Gail has taught us all. I think that there's a whole nother world to music other than, classic rock and roll.
That's, something that we could have never foreseen because she started out as a theater kid. So we're happy for her because she loves it. And I think if you do something you love, then it's not work.
Gail is continuing her love of music as she goes on to study choral conducting at Notre Dame University next fall. Funk Radio is bringing live music to campus with its Full Moon Fest this Friday. 4 Furman bands will take the stage for a night of performances, all playing original music and covers. Raya, one of Funk Radio's co-managers, was one of the upcoming concert's organizers.
And Funk Radio is a club that started up this year. We're the radio for Furman. We got a bunch of DJs, everybody has their own show. We have talk shows, we have music-only shows, and like a mix of both.
This event marks Funk's Radio's first large-scale event this semester. The free concert will take place from 5 to 9 p.m. this Friday, March 15th in the amphitheater and showcases the Lucky Sevens, Normal People, Chosen Family, and Fluid Dynamics. With a mix of music styles and a full moon backdrop, Funk Radio is setting the stage for a night students can expect to remember.
Thanks, Katelyn. The Furman men's basketball team competed in the SoCon tournament this past weekend, falling short in the conference championship game. Joining us is forward Garrett Hein, a graduate student who just finished up his Paladin career. Garrett, let's talk first about the SoCon tourney. In the first half, we were down by 9, however, we went on a little run and were able to take the lead 39-37 going into halftime. We were also able to hold that lead for a good part of the second half. So what happened that changed the tide in this ball game?
Yeah, so first, in the first half, we started out slow. I kind of told the guys that I felt like we were half a step behind in every aspect. We fixed that around. We changed things up. We changed our defense up, ended up taking the lead. And we felt good going into half, obviously up 2. And then we held the lead for most of the game, I think until about maybe 9 or 10 minutes left. They took a lead. It was a really good basketball game in general. I mean, the atmosphere was great. It was blow for blow. They were hitting a 3. We were hitting a 3. We were getting a dunk. They were getting a dunk. And at the end of the day, they kind of just ended up making one more play than us at the end of the game. And yeah, not the outcome we wanted, but great atmosphere and a great game.
It was a tough loss, especially since you guys split during the regular season. It really just shows that in a few seconds that can determine whether a team goes to the NCAA tournament or not. And just talk about, you being a graduate student, how that makes you feel, this possibly being your last game.
Yeah, it definitely hurts that, I want to go out and win and ended March Madness, obviously. And in a league like the SoCon, it's only one big league. The team who wins the tournament is the team who ends up, going to the dance. So it definitely hurts, but it was a great career. That was actually my 160th game that I played in a Paladin jersey, so I'm sure that's probably one of the most, if not the most, anyone's ever played in it. So it was a great ride. I enjoyed it all, and I'm grateful for the opportunity I had here.
So where do you go from here?
So I'm in the master's program now. I'm going to end up finishing that in August, so I still got a couple months that I'm going to be at Furman. But in the meantime, it's been a dream for me as a kid to play professional basketball, so I'm going to find an agent who can hopefully find me a good spot overseas, hopefully in Europe somewhere cool to be able to see the world. And yeah, continue to work, take a couple weeks off. My body needs it, but continue to work, continue to grind and try and be a pro.
Well, Garrett, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate you. Now turning to some other scoreboards for our Paladins. Like the men, the women's basketball team finished out their season over spring break as they fell to Chattanooga in the semifinals of the SoCon tournament by a score of 63-55. The team finished the season with an even record of 16-16. Also over the break, the softball team was in action as it hosted the Furman Round Robin, where they squared off twice against both Youngstown State and Gardner-Webb. The Paladins went 1-1 against both teams, landing the Paladins at 9-18 on the season. The men's and women's tennis teams saw action over the break, as well as earlier in the week. Men's tennis went 0-3 in their contest, falling to Florida Gulf Coast, South Florida, and Sanford. Meanwhile, the women's tennis team continues to be dominant as they swept Belmont 7-0 and defeated Austin Peay State by a score of 5-2. With it being Women's History Month and National Women's Day just last week, it's only right to recognize some of the incredible female athletes on this campus. Ella Grogan highlights one special golfer who as a freshman was named to the WGCA All-America Scholar Team. She takes an unexpected approach to improving her game, one that might surprise you.
Kelsey Mozzie went from a lifelong gymnast to a golfer in just 2 years. Now, she competes at a Division I level. Osteonecrosis in her knee from repetitive trauma put her in rehab for over a year, and from there, an uphill battle.
I just literally sat in a couch, sick, and kind of in a very bad place. And I think that's where I had a lot of time to think and realize, man, I never ever want to be in this situation again. And mentally, part of that was like, how do I bulletproof myself so this doesn't happen again?
That's when Kelsey decided to combine two of perhaps the most vastly different sports and found martial arts.
It is peace. It's an outlet. It's like a reset because it's like, yeah, things can feel really hard, but when you're in like a ring or training in any form like that, nothing else really matters. Kind of, it reminds you what you can and you can't control, which I think is so huge. And not only boxing, martial arts, golf, it's just like you need that outlet.
Marrying the two sports to make her a weapon in both the ring and on the green.
If I can go into a martial arts gym, push myself, go through something very difficult mentally and physically, then golf is easy, you know? Especially being able to physically bulletproof your body, being able to do explosive movements is what helps you become a very strong golfer.
Her kickboxing coach seen the impact firsthand.
She's a phenomenal athlete already, but when you add the golf element into it, the way she swings, I hope I'm doing that right, and how she has to concentrate and focus and be meticulous, it's like 90% of the battle.
And that is what sets Kelsey apart, using the two sports to strengthen each other. Kelsey now isn't just playing the game, she's changing it. For the Nightly News, I'm Ella Grogan.
Kelsey will continue to push her limits both on and off the course as the Furman women's golf team's season is officially in full swing. A slow week in the sports department this week here at Furman as all but one of our athletic teams are traveling. Be sure to check out the events of the week as the women's team looks to extend their winning streak against Yale on Sunday at 10 a.m. The football team has been at work on the field this spring, preparing for a successful fall. The team plans to showcase their hard work this Saturday at 1 p.m. through their annual spring game. This is the only event of the spring for the football team, so be sure to come out and support.
I definitely go out and support as long as it's not 30 degrees outside. I'm not one for the cold weather.
Same here. I definitely will miss it, but I am excited to see what the Paladins have to offer and what they'll be able to showcase for this upcoming fall.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grant, and thank you guys for joining us. That does it for this episode of the Nightly News. I'm Katelyn Wong, and we leave you now with a look of behind the scenes from today's broadcast. Have a good weekend.